Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to work on the ASP.NET Core Web application, and our main focus it will be on CRUD, create, read, update and delete. The prerequisite for this tutorial is to have the basic knowledge on Bootstrap and also the fundamentals of C# and .NET framework as well. I'll be using two tools, which are the Visual Studio Editor version 2022 and SQL Server 2014. For the sake of the length of this tutorial, some of the codes I will copy them, paste them, then explain them. We'll be working on one scenario which is about a small healthcare management system, and we will be having two main actors who are the healthcare professionals, the people who will be managing patients' records, approving appointments, and also updating medical history for the patient. And another one, as I have said, it is the patient as well. The patient will be there to create himself, to schedule appointment, and also to track his own history. So the professional should be always there to approve the appointments, but also to update the medical history, medical record of the patient. Again, we need to make sure that this is an ASP web application so that many people, or all the actors of the system will be able to have access to the system in a remote place. Secondly, we shall develop this one in C# programming language with .NET framework. So the task assigned to us is to develop a database schema to create tables and storing patient information, develop a schema for storing medical history, storing appointment schedules, and be able to solve some different tasks, including registration, addition, deletion of patients, appointment scheduling, notifications, medical records, and so on and so forth. So if we go to the analysis of the system, we can at least display like 5 tables in this scenario, and those 5 tables are the patient, and the patient will be having different attributes. These are imaginary attributes, and we can even go further by adding some other attributes like the date of birth, because if we are going to give medication to the patient, we need to know the age of the patient. We need to know, like, does the patient have the insurance provider? If yes, what is the insurance policy number, something like that. So on the medical history table, we can also have different fields like these ones, whereby we'll be having the history ID, the patient ID, the visitation date, the diagnosis, the treatment, medication, and also the healthcare professional notes. About the appointment, we can have all of these attributes for the appointment table together with the class. Each and every table is having the class that is associated with it in C#. And also we can have the healthcare professional or the doctor. Yes, a healthcare professional. Of course, when we are going to make an appointment, we need to know, we need to even specify who are we going to meet. Last but not least is about the user table. This one, it will help us to be able to access to the system. So without taking a lot of time, let us go here. So we need to create a new project to connect to the server, creating a database, add the package, the name, so that we can be able to have access to the SQL client namespace, create the laser pages and organize them in folders, and so on and so forth. So allow me to create this. I'm going to open Visual Studio 2022. So once Visual Studio 2022 is open, I'm going to go to new project, create a new project, and here allow me to search for core. So it means I want to create a web call application, this is the first one that is coming, so I can click on it, then I go next, then this is going to be Gwiza Healthcare. This is Gwiza Healthcare. So for now, I can click on next. I don't want HTTPS. And on the framework, you can have different suggestions, but for me, I will go for the long-term support one, which is 6.0, and I can go to create. So now, if you remember very well, we are creating our project, and this project will help us to manage our healthcare services. So this is the solution explorer that we are having, and here we can see we are having all the pages, we are having the properties, we are having the program.cs, we are having the app settings, and so on and so forth. So from here I am going to add so I am going to go to Solution Explorer. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go to Pages. Then from Pages, I'm going to add a new folder because I need to organize my data into folders as well, as I have told you. And the very first thing to be done is to create that folder whereby our laser pages will be organized in. So this is our Solution Explorer, and as long as we're having this one, now let's create the database. So here we are having a database, and allow me to come here and delete this one. It's not needed by now. I'm clicking here to go to the new database. By the way, I need to put a dot here, but if you want, you can go to SQL Server, and after the SQL Server is coming, then you need to copy the name. The same thing will happen, will work. Copy this name, and after copying the name, then you can bring it here. So as you can see, if I put a dot, I'll be able to have my databases. The same if I just put this one, I'll also have this one. So it depends on which way that seems better to you. So this is going to be Gwiza Healthcare DB. It's a DB for Gwiza Healthcare, and here we go now. It takes some time because it first fetch or even check whether this database is there. If not, it will ask me, do you want to create? Yes, I have said I want to create it. So if we try to come here to this new table, as you can see, we don't have this table. We don't have any table, but you can see here something like add a new query. So on the other new query, we are going to add the query for creating our database. Sorry, creating our table, and this is it. So here it is, create table client. Then we shall have all of this name, but not here. It will not be client, but it will be patient. So so I can come here and then I paste it here. Create table patient. The ID is not null, it's primary key and also identity. Email is unique, and the created at is date time, and it is having the current timestamp. So so this is it, and this command is successfully executed. If you try to go to refresh, by the way, you should see the table. You should see the table. Where have I clicked here? No, it's here. Command completed successfully. If we try to go to the tables, we refresh, we can see now the patient table is here. So now we are going to insert some data. Here are some dummy data. I have created a query to add some data, and this is the one. Insert into patient table. Then we shall only add for the name, email, phone address, and then these are the values. So you feel free to add some other data, and here you can add any other data that you want, as long as then, so let me just copy paste this one. So after we can select all, then we run this one. So 7 rows have been affected, to mean like my data are in. So if I try to show table data, now you can say I can be able to see my data. That's great. I now have access to my data. Remember, we wanted now to have the database here created. So I can go to Solution Explorer. Now I am going to add a new laser page, and this laser page, it will be a laser page empty. This laser page empty, it will be having this index. So remember, I will have different laser pages, and the first one is the index for the display of my data. The second one, it will be for another laser page. It will be for edit, not create. Yes. The next one, it will be for edit. And the last but not least is about the delete. But for the delete, I don't need the model. For the delete, I only want the view only. I will write some C# codes on the view to delete the data. So now this is all that I want. But again, if we try to run this Gwiza healthcare, healthcare, we will only see the default data generated, including privacy and home and so on, but we shall not be able to have, yes, the home and privacy, but we can't have the patient. So allow me to go to shared, then I go to layout, and on my layout I am going to see this is the li, the list, Control D to duplicate it. Then here I'm going to add for the patient. But remember, which page do I want to display on patient? It is that page that is in patients/index. I want to see the list of patients. So now if you save, Control S to save all the data, then I run. Now you can see, good, now we can see patient is there, but nothing is displayed yet because we don't have anything yet done. So this is it. So now we are having everything that we wanted, and it's now time to start with every single thing that we want to use. Good. No need for the SQL query. I was done with it. The display of data, I'm done with it. Now let us deal with the index.cshtml. So if you go to Solution Explorer, for example, this index.cshtml, or the form that we've created, the laser page have also created something which is .cs. So this CS is a model. This is the model for this view. So when we go to the view, there is at page, to mean like it will not need any controller. So which means all the controllers will be, all the controlling code will be written in the model. So here we're having the on gate. We can have on gate, on put, on post, something like that. So which means if we want to write some codes, we need to go to the model, and if you want to write some views or HTML or whatever, we need to go to the index. So let us start now. So this is whereby we are going to write our code, and the very first thing that we need to do, I need to have another class, and I'm going to create the patient info class. So this patient info class, it will be having the ID, the name, the email, name, email, phone number, address, and created at. And remember that created at in our database, we've said like it should be default. It should be defaulted inserted. So secondly, after creating this one, we need a list. So I need a list that will hold for me public list, and this list, it should be a list of patient info, and this is going to be list of patients, which is equal to new array list. It's this list that I'm creating. So which means I need to add some codes here for on get, and for this on get, it means for my on get, I want to make sure that I get the data from the database, and after getting the data from database, then I save them in my list, so that when I want to display, I will loop through the list. I hope this is very clear and understandable. So which means here I should have a try and catch, because sometimes some errors can be thrown, and I will be getting some exception, and in times of exception, I may have a console to be written to display some of the exceptions that I've got. So this is it, and now let us start with this one. So very first one, in my try, I need to have a string for my constring, which is going to be equal to something that I will get from here. So here, remember, we have this connection. We can go to properties, then we can say this is the connection string, Control A, Control C, then we can copy paste this one. So now this is it. This is all that I wanted to have for the connection string. So after having this connection string, I should use this connection string to I should use this connection string to just have access to my database. Allow me to copy paste these things here, and I'm going to explain them. So this is it, and the problem now here is the SQL connection is not found. So we need to first of all go to View, Solution Explorer, and you can see there is on my application. I go to Manage NuGet Packages, I go to Browse, then I go to System.data.SQL Client, search for it. After searching for it, you will see this first one. Click on Install, then it will get installed. You click on Accept if prompted, and now we are done with installing our SQL connection. So we need to come here, then we use it, then using system.data.SQL client. Now that's good, everything will be there. So the connection string, I will just use this connection string, and now it's good. Now it's cool. So but remember that everything now is verified. Let me explain these codes. I'm just saying using SQL connection con, which is equal to the other connection string. I'm opening the connection, and now I have the query. I have it in a string. Now I need to use the SQL command. As you remember, the SQL command will just expect you to give it two parameters, namely the query and the connection. And I will use this data reader to read my data from the SQL command. And once the reader is having something, I will create a new object of patient info, and I will add every data that I've got from the reader into my in my object. Then after that, I will update the list of patients that I've created on line 9 with the other new object. So at the end, this list of patients, it will be having all the patients that I'm having in my database. So this is for the model, and we can go to the page to add also some views that will be helping me to also get some views that I want. So as you remember how I explained this one, this at page means it will not need any controller. This line number 2 means like the model which is associated with my view, and from line 3 and 4 it is whereby you can write your C# codes, and on line number 5 and down it is whereby you can add your HTML codes. So this is it, and for example I want an H2 that will be displaying for me the list of patients. Here it is, list of patients, and allow me to have something like a button. And this is the button, and the button will be talking about new patient. And remember, we are having create that we have created. It is patient / create, to mean if we go to Solution Explorer, it will be going to the patient, then on create. So which means this is the one that should be called. So after this one, we need to create a table, and this is the table of ours. And in this table we can have two things. The first one is the table header, and second one is the table body. In the table header, I can have a table row, and in my table row I can have different table headers, the THs. And the first one, for example, is the ID, name, and the last one, it will be about the actions to be taken. So if we try now to run the healthcare, we will see this is the patient, but the table is bad. The table is too bad. Allow me to add a class, bootstrap class for the table. Sorry, class, then here table, and run again once more. I think now bootstrap will do some magic for me. Wow, that's great. Now bootstrap have done some magics for me. So after doing this one, so we remember that we need to have also our table body, and in our table body we need to have a for loop. That means that for loop, it should be a C# code, and I'm going to use the for each. And here in my for each, I will just say I will have a variable which is my val item, and it will be coming from model dot, I think it is a list of patients. So this list of patients, it will be having the whole list. If you remember very well, if I go to view codes, you remember I have created this list of patients, and I'm updating it whenever I'm getting any new data. So this is where I'm getting the data from. So here then I need to have another table row, and this table row will be there to help me to get the data. So the first one, to be getting anything like this item, it will getting each and every object from my list, the ID displayed and the created that. When we go to the last one, which is about the actions, then we shall have the edit and the delete. And on the edit and delete, the edit is found on patient slash edit, then ID. I should, whenever I'm going to edit a patient, I need to have the ID of the patient, right? Whenever I'm going to delete the patient, I need to have the ID of the patient to be deleted. So this is all for the view, and allow me to run, then we see what we have now. So for now, we don't have anything, and the data are not displayed. So let us see where is the error. In the view codes, we are having select all from clients, but it should not be select all from clients, but should be select all from patients. Let us click on patients. Wow, that's great. Now we can see that we are having all our patients displayed. Remember, if we go to new patient, nothing will come. If we try to go to edit, nothing will come, but at least it is giving us a green light that these things are populated. That's very great, and that's very correct. So allow me to go to another one on the create. We are going to work on the create, and allow me to start with the model of creating. So if we go to the create, the very first thing that we need to know is that we need, first of all, a public. We need a public object that will be that will be holding the data for us, and this will be public that will be public patient info, which is equal to new patient info. It means I am creating my object for the patient. Secondly, I need to bring in place the error message and the success message. So this error message, it will help me to get the data, to get the error message once there's an error. For example, once there's something missing on the form, you are trying to click on submit without providing the data needed. So here, the on get, remember I'm creating, so which means I may need the on post, and once I want to post the data, I may need something. So first of all, I need to get some data from the form. By now, we don't have the form created yet, but we want the patient info, the one that has been created. I need to provide the data for the name, and the data for the name, it will be coming from the form in a variable called the name. So I will show you then how these are related. So sometimes the user may even just be required to provide this, but the user doesn't provide anything. So which means there can be an error. The error message now will just play its role. So if patient info.name.friend is equal to 0, or email is equal to 0, or whatever, that means the error message will now have something. I will now have all fields should be required. So that means this will be displayed once there's any field being skipped. So if otherwise, now it's my time to save the data. I now need to start saving the data. So once I go to the save the data, I need to have a try and catch that will help me to just catch any exception, if any, and the error message should be that one, and I should return after doing everything. So on my try, I should try saving the data into the database, and this is it. I need first of all to go to I need to use SQL connection with this connection string. Sorry, I need to have a string for my connection string, sorry, which is equal to nothing other than what I can have from here. Right click, properties, Control A, Control C. Oops, look at me. Where am I putting it? It needs to be above here so that it can be understood. So, okay, great. So this is insert into patients. Then I want to add the name, email, phone, and address. So after this one, then I will call the SQL command, and as you remember, the SQL command will get two parameters, the query and the connection. Remember, the query I have it here, and the connection also I have created it here, the one that I'm using. So because this query will require some parameters, I need to add them. The cmd.parameters dot add with value the name, which is the patient info.name, and remember that these ones I have just created this one from line 17 to line number 20. It's whereby I have populated the data in my patient info object. So after all, then I need to call my command, SQL command.execute NULL query, to mean like I am going to execute everything. So after there is no error, there is no whatever, I need to clear and also redirect. I need first of all to clear. I need to clear out the fields. Patient info.name is equal to null. I need them to clear everything. Otherwise, they can be appended somehow. Secondly, I need to add a success message, because it only comes here. If there is an error, it returns from here. If there is no error, it goes down here. So now the new patient is inserted successfully, and I need to make sure that I redirect the patient to the list of patients. Great. So let me go to the page. I want to also make sure that we do it quickly. For the page, I am going for the new patient, and this is the new patient. So allow me to come here, then I am going to the new patient, and if there is anything that I should do, I should make sure that I create a form, and this is the form, and in my form it should have a control, and this control will be in terms of method, and this is post. So as you know, the form in my form, I will first of all have to provide for the name. So here I'm creating a new div that will be having the label under text box, and it should have this name. So it is the name of the patient, and the text box, it should have also another name, and this name, it should be the one that I need to call here. So for example, here the request.form is equal to this name. This, it should be written the same way to this one that has been provided here. So on the value, the one that will be going to the database, it will be going to the model.patientinfo.name. That's very good, and this is for the first, for the name, and we can go to the rest. We can go to the rest, and the rest are email, phone, then address. So here it is. It's only a copy paste. It's only the copy paste, and here it is. So we have added all of these, but if we try to see, we have added for the attribute for the patient, but we never added for the buttons. So this is for the button, and we need the submit button and also the cancel button. When we do cancel, we need to go to the root of the project. So if we do submit, then it means this form will be submitted. So, but if you remember very well, we have something which is called error message and success message. So I want, whenever I have an error message, it should be displayed to the top of the form. I need to come here on the top of the form. I need to add some controls for the error message. So that means it is a C# code, then which checks if the model has, if model dot error message dot length, so which means the length is bigger than 0. Now it means we have an error here. So if we're having an error, now we should do something. I should display a pop-up or a dialog box which is dismissible, and I will just put the other error that has been there. And this is it. I need to bring in a dismissible alert, and it will get the content, this content, and this alert should be closed, and it will be having the earlier label for closing. If it is a success message, the success message can go near the the buttons so that we can also see it. Remember, the error message, it should be a warning, but the success, it should be informational or yes, information. So it can be a success or whatever that you want. So it should also be the same, it should be dismissible, and it should have this for closing. So let me just try this. Let me try to run. We want to check how this works. We go to patient. If I click on new patient and I click on submit, all fields should be provided, and so on and so forth. So now that's good, that's very correct, that's very good. I can click on cancel. I should go to the root of the project. So let me try to add the data, the correct data. Eric Gwiza, me at Eric, this is it, and Chigari, and I click on submit. As you can see, Eric is there. But if we click on edit, nothing will come. It is because we never worked on edit. So allow me then to start working on edit. If you remember very well, we are going, after creating, then we need to go to edit. Let me go to Solution Explorer. I need to open this edit. So as you remember, the edit doesn't work it by itself. So it needs first of all to get the ID of the user to be edited, and after getting that ID, we need even just to go to the to get the data from the form, the same as we did on save, and then we get it done. So which means here we shall have two things, and we shall have the post and also the put, sorry, the get and the post, which means we need first of all to get the data of the user to be edited, and after that we update it, then we save it into the database. But by the way, on public, we have the public variables, which are the object to be updated, and also the error message and success message as well, as you remember. Secondly, here we need to have the ID, and the ID, we should have something here. So allow me to start with the page for now, because I can see that the page is now is the one that is highly needed. So first of all, it is edit patient, and on edit patient now we are going to have the other form of rows. The same form that we had before, nothing is going to be changed. The same form that we had before, nothing is going to be changed, including the other message. The only thing that should be added, the only thing that has been added is this hidden input that will hold for me the ID. This is the only thing that has been added. The other thing is about the error message. It is the same as the one that we had on the insert or create a new patient, and this is it. For the error message, we need to show it, and it should have this, it should be closable. And here we are having the first div for the name, the second div for email, until we go to the last one. And here we are having the error, the success message, which is also a dismissible, that will have the message from the model. If you try to go to this, if you click on it, it will show you this one, the one that we should have. Okay, so again here, if you submit, it should be submitted, and everything is really the same. Only the different thing is on line 15, whereby I have added the ID, and this ID is the one that I need to get here. So whenever I click on it, this ID should be in there. So if we try to come here, we need to create something like a string ID, because if we are going to update the user, we need first of all to have the user who's have been clicked at query, then ID, sorry, but it is not ID like this, it is ID like this. So which means now I am having the ID to whom I'm going to update the data to. So I need then to have here some try and catch blocks, and here I need to have a catch, and I can catch some exceptions, error message, then I should return that one. So on the try block, I need to first of all have my string connection, and I can go to create. I think I have it somewhere. This is it. Remember that I'm on edit. This is it, Gwiza healthcare. Now it's time to start using my data. So SQL connection, this is it. Select all from patients, where IDs go to at ID, and once I have this at ID, I need to make sure that I added that parameter. So after this one, I need then to use SQL data reader to read the data. So then if the reader.read, so if reader.read, it means like if the reader has something that I can read. So now I am going to have this patient info. Remember, this is the object that I've created on line number 9. Then I need to populate the data into it. So now I am having the data to be updated. Now it's time to start working on the post. It should be the same as what we had before. So the very first one, I need to get all the data from the user that the user has entered. And remember, once you click on it, all the data should be filled, should be auto-filled. So after this one, I need to first of all control the error message. If anything is not having some data, or you have deleted it or whatever, I need to give you an error message. And here I need to start, if there is no error, I need to start with my try and catch. I need to start with a try and catch that will get an exception, if any, then it should return from there. So this is it. But on the try, if everything is good, if everything is cool, I need then to save or to update the data in the database. What only changes is only the What only changes is only the query, because the query will be update set, but before we had insert into. So this is it. We'll be having the query update patient set name is equal to this, where ID is equal to that. So this is all, and I think there's no need to explain this because you already know, because I explained it on the insert. So if we go to patient and we want to edit Eric, and this Eric is going to add something like query, then if I click on submit, it should make sure that it goes to something. If I go to, by the way, perhaps it has been inserted, it has been updated, but I didn't redirect to the, yes, query it has been updated, but I didn't redirect to the list. So after doing everything, after inserting, after the catch, I need to make sure that I clear out the fields, and after clearing the fields, I need to add this message and also to redirect to index. Good. Let me go in and I want to remove query. I want to go to edit and I want to remove this query. I want to submit. Now it's very fine. So last but not least, the one that I'm going to work on is about the delete. So on the delete, remember what we have. We have here the delete.cshtml. So there is a comment here for more or whatever. We can get rid of it, and we can come here down. So this is for the delete, and for the delete, as I have told you, we don't need to have the model for it, but I can just write everything here. That means I can only write some codes here. So let me just using system.data.sql client. So to mean like here, I can just use some C# codes as I want. Then inside here, I can have the other thing like string ID, which is going to be equal to the request. So I can have, where is my edit? So like this one, I can have it there on my delete. But this request has an error. Let me check. The name request does not exist in the current request. Okay, perhaps it is expecting something like at page, because I don't need any controller. Yeah, that was the problem. So then here, after this ID, I need to bring in a try and catch. By the way, I'm going to because I can see the video is becoming too long, I'm only going to make this, but it's not good. We need to have something like, are you sure you want to delete or whatever? But here I don't want it. I only want to have something easy. I click, then it goes, nothing like that. So from here I can go to the console. I can write a console.writeLine, then I will just display that there is an error. Then I should also give the message. in my console. So in my try and catch, then I will allow me to go to the create or edit or wherever. I'm going to steal some codes here, and this is about it. And I am going also to steal some other codes on my create view codes. Let me just copy this one on my delete, and I'm going to come here. So this is not this one, it is delete from patients where id is equal to @id, and @id here is going to be equal to the other id that I had before. So this is the only parameter that I will need, and I think this is all. So after everything, after my catch, I should always remain on the same page, which is index page. So which means I should have response dot redirect, then I should go to the patients / index, something like this. So if we try to run, I want to delete someone, then I see whether it really works. So let me delete Boris Johnson. Wow, that's great. Eric Gwiza, that's great. But the problem is someone can even click here by error or by mistake. So we need to add something like, are you sure you want to delete this? And this should be added later. So thank you so much for going along with me. I will just I will give you the source code along with the tutorial so that you can practice using it. Thank you.